What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Nick and Nick, the Insurance Dudes podcast. My name is Nick Overby, joined by my fearless and amazing co-host, Nick from Dahlonega, Georgia. What's up, brother, man?
Good, man. How you doing?
Fan-freaking-tastic, as our boy Dave Ramsey would say. Better than I deserve.
Fantastic. Yeah, I like it. I like it. 6 feet up and not 6 feet under. We're doing great.
Oh, yeah, man. I got to put my feet on the ground this morning. Hopefully, I'll get to do it tomorrow.
Hope's not a strategy. It's got to make it happen.
Yeah, well, God willing, right, man? God willing.
Yeah.
Well, February 1st was the first recording in, first, I guess, official recording in, roughly 32 days, 33 days.
Yeah, first official. We definitely did a recording, but
yeah, that one will be for the archives. We'll post the mistakes later. But anyways, we're not talking about too many failures today. We're talking about success. Man, how has the year of 2021 been treating my good friend Nick so far?
Man, it's been going well. Started out the year a little slow. Half the team did. But we really picked it up halfway through. I had to have a bit of a I wouldn't quite say come to Jesus, because I like to leave the religion out of the office.
Yeah.
But I would say we had a halftime talk, and there's a lot to be said for teams that adjust during halftime and come out in the second half and absolutely turn the game around. They've got the momentum, they've got the crowd behind them, and they just crush it and end up flipping the game. And Kathy, on the 18th, so 2 weeks left, right? So we already finished 2 weeks of the month, so we were at halftime. We had 2 weeks or quarters to go, and I just told her, I'm your biggest fan right now. And we've talked about it, man. Getting your head, getting things aren't going right, and all of a sudden you start overthinking or complicating the process, or it really just throws you off your chi, I like to call it. And I just told her, get back to the basics. Are you doing the activity? Let's start with first, are you getting your quotes? Start there. Are you getting your daily households quoted? If not, all right, let's start there. Because if you're not putting the activity in, and we know you have a certain closing ratio, but you're not giving us that amount of work that we need to hit those numbers we're wanting, then let's start there. Because without that, we can't go anywhere else, right? So, and I'm telling her, we basically had the halftime talk. She's a personal trainer on the side, so she's really into sports and loves sports. She goes to watch basketball, football. I love when she was in the office. She can talk sports all day long. It's great.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So I always find analogies, and one of the ways that I've always tried to find a way to connect with people is find out what they like to do for fun if they have a hobby. So if I have a dude that plays golf, I'll try to, what I'm trying to convey, I'll try to put it in golf terms. Ethan golfs. So I've talked to him about, his at bats or his swings. How many balls does a professional golfer hit a week? Probably 5,000.
Oh yeah.
At least.
Easy.
What you're seeing on TV is just the tip of the iceberg, But yeah, so we had the halftime talk, and she came out, dude, second quarter, and freaking murdered it. Shout out, Kathy.
What's up, girl?
Yeah, murdered it, and did well. We ended up having a great month. Didn't smoke those our peers. We left the couple of metrics that I have in the dust. But weren't lighting it up. But for me, what I got going on, we're great. I can't complain with the way we ended up January. It started slow though, and my bookkeeper is always. I'm not sure if she's in our group or not, but shout out to Kathleen. She's amazing.
What's her last name?
Childs.
Okay.
ASG.
I want to think
ASG. But dude, she has this gift that she sends me. And every time we'll meet, and then I'll go away, and then I'll get my head, and then things won't be quite right, what we talked about or what I had on paper. And it's this roller coaster, and it's this guy in the front of the roller coaster just doing this. And literally, it's a roller coaster that's doing this, and it's like the side view actually, and you can just see this guy getting thrown back and forth. And every time I go down this road, I'm like, and she can tell, she's like, whoa, you're just getting in your head. And then she sends me the roller coaster. I'm like, you know what, you're right. You're good.
Mhm.
And I think even the last time we had talked, we didn't record, but last time we had talked, you were like, dude, why are you in such a hurry? I'm like, I just want to grow so fast. I just want to go.
Yeah. Oh, I do
You know?
remember that. Yeah.
And you're like, why are you in a hurry, man? And I'm like, God.
Yeah, but exactly, I do. Yeah, you're right. I was like, but for what though? Like, you're already ahead of the game. Like, you're already speeding.
But that's the thing, is where I was, and my mentality was, man, I had all these goals set out. Like, we were gonna, man, I hit the new. I'm so optimistic. One of my downfall, my weaknesses is how optimistic I am and my ability to see good in pretty much everyone I come across. Like, I always will find, man, he was really shitty on this test over here and he didn't do that great, but man, he said this, or I really liked him. He shook my hand really good. I always give people the benefit of the doubt, right? Unless I just get a really bad vibe, and then it's like, I don't know about that guy. But yeah, so I was just, I had all these plans and hopes and dreams. 2021 is gonna be amazing. Woo! And then we start out, and half the team is just like, wah wah,
Yeah.
throws up a freaking field goal in the first half. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, imagine if the
Yeah.
freaking Bucks came out the first half and put up a field goal. You'd be pissed. I'd be pissed.
I
I was
mean,
mad.
Yeah. In that scenario, yeah.
And so that's when we talked. Like, my Tom Brady is throwing up a field goal, dude. We got issues with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you know what? Dang it, we wouldn't be where we are today if I didn't get lit up and fired up every single time some crap like that happens. I can't, the whole complacency, or because how you start this year, I mean, it's gonna. Which trajectory are you on?
Yep.
Are you on a great one? You on a really good high, just gonna crush it, or are you coming out flat and just kind of,
Yeah.
okay, cool.
You're absolutely right. I mean, there needs to be, as the leader, you have to be their motivation when they can't.
Sorry, I just got worked up.
No, you're good. No, I mean, so that Pat Bet David dude, you know who that is? The guy, he's on Instagram. He does a bunch of stuff on YouTube. He's an insurance, he owned an agency in Frisco.
Okay.
And he had a story. He was talking about a guy who worked in his office and was a badass, but the guy always had to come to him for motivation, right? He never could go motivated on his own. It was like me having to meet with Perry, twice, 3 times a week just to get fire up under my ass. And it was kind of, you at some point you can be there, and that's all good and dandy. But like what I'm dealing with right now, for me personally, is like, okay, I have to be my own motivation right now, because we don't have that crazy push with what we had through open enrollment in the past, for me, 6 months. And so it's been, I like going straight up like this, literally the numbers look like a fucking roller coaster. And now it's kind of like, I was the Titan, and now I'm the Judge Roy Scream. I'm the smaller. Do what?
The caboose.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it Judge Roy Scream still rolling?
Yeah, bro. In fact, I rode that last weekend with my son.
Dude,
it's because it's a wooden roller coaster. You're like,
it stinks you side to side to side.
Yeah. That's why I like riding the Titan, but I haven't been able to ride the Titan because my son is a little bit of a pansy. I mean, he's 7. What do you expect? So it's a huge roller coaster.
Right there with him. I will admittedly,
what?
I was afraid of roller coasters. It was spring break. Had to have been sophomore, junior year. My buddy Drew Roten, Chris Tanner. You probably remember Chris Tanner.
Yeah, I do. I know his sister really well, Virginia Tanner.
Yes, Jenny. Yeah,
Jenny.
I think Greg was with us. It might have just been Drew, Chris, and I. But Drew's dad took us down to Corpus Christi for spring break. On the way back, we stopped at Fiesta, Texas.
Nice.
And I'm not a roller coaster fan. And he's like, all right, I'll make you a deal. I will buy your season pass for this year if you ride every single roller coaster today. And I was like, dang. All right, I'll do it, whatever. Yeah. And the first one we get in, I'm standing there. My hands are literally dripping sweat, like so nervous. Palms are sweaty. Got mom's spaghetti on the freaking sweatshirt going on.
Jesus.
And dude, I'm shaking, right? And I'm like, I do not know how I'm gonna get through this day. I don't know what. Like, I'd rather, like, here, Mr. Roten, here's your like $68.99 back. Like, I don't want this season pass. I'll go get a freaking root beer float and sit down and watch you guys go have a lot of fun. But you might fly off the freaking roller coaster off the side, and that's always in the back of my mind. And then here comes like little Timmy, like this 9-year-old that's just stoked. He's like, dude, we're going on the freaking Texas Rattle Sizzler. Woo! And I turn around and I'm like, all right, like little Timmy's out here just freaking busting a nut. He's loving life right now. And he's so stoked. I'm like, all right, if this little freaking 9-year-old little turd over here can do this, game on. I can do this too, right? I'm in. So now, oh dude, I love them. I love them. Yeah, that's my style. The fair ones, they're okay.
No.
Some of the loop-de-loop ones and the big circles.
Yep.
If you go back to back,
you get too much. They have a new one at Six Flags. They have a new one called Catwoman's Tail Whip, and it's like they like locks you in, right? You're like, your feet are suspended, and it starts going in circles. Well, then it starts going in circles like this. And at one point you're fucking vertical, bro. You're literally vertical, and you're just spinning in these things, and your feet are hanging. It's crazy.
If I want to get down on that, I think I'll just go jump in the dryer, and hit like a 60-minute flush.
That's exactly what I felt like. Because Flynn absolutely loved that ride, but he screamed bloody fucking murder. Like, dude, I was slightly embarrassed that my child was acting like this on this roller coaster. And that's terrible for me to say, but he was, get me out of here, and he was, I hate it.
Is the Mr. Free still going?
Yep.
That's my jam. I like to go fast.
Yeah,
Ricky Bobby.
Well, that's what the Titan is. The Titan's super fast. Have you ridden that?
No.
Dude, that thing goes 70 miles an hour.
I think this is a good time to drop some nuggets of info.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone that I've come across, being from Texas, particularly Dallas, Fort Worth, Metroplex, the history of Six Flags of Texas. But there is a Six Flags in Atlanta. There's a Six Flags up in, I think, Boston. It's Six Flags New England. There's a couple around the U.S., and most people have heard of Six Flags. The actual name, though, is Six Flags Over Texas. Mm-hmm. And when I always ask, hey, do you know how Six Flags got its name? No one can ever tell me. And so I always drop some little nugs on them. And the name comes from the Six Flags that have flown over the state of Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And people, like, every time I tell someone that, they're like, no, bullshit. I'm like, no, really, like, you can Google it. Like, there's been Six Flags that have flown over the state, and the original is in Arlington, and you can go, and each flag has its own area and its own theme. And dude, the mind, like, blown, like, what? Like, oh yeah, that's what it's about. Like, like Texas history, and like that's what started like Six Flags is like we've had all these different vibes, presiding over Texas. But yeah, it's funny. Most people don't know that, and to all of our people in the group that listen or watch, you're welcome. That's what Six Flags is all about.
Yeah, it's funny. Flynn asked me this the other day. He goes, "Dad, why are we in different countries?" And I'm like, glad that you asked, my friend.
Did he really?
Oh yeah,
he picked up on it.
Well, he was like, "What are the countries for?" And because he didn't understand why there was different countries, and he asked me, he goes, "Why isn't it like this at Hurricane Harbor?" Because I told him that Six Flags owns Hurricane Harbor, so he was trying to figure all of it out. He's like, "I don't understand," because he liked going to Mexico, he liked going to France, and he goes, "Why are we in different countries?" And he goes, "Well, why are the rides named in the countries?" Like, he was like, "Okay, so there's what used to be the bobsled, now is called it's the word for snake in Spanish, la viborota or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a snake ride now, same thing." But every country, right, like the Texas Giant.
Well, Mexico had the sombrero, which is basically like the pirate ship, right?
Yeah. Oh no, they have both.
Okay,
yeah, it's all right there, man. That's so funny. So yeah, anyways.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But yeah, most people, dude, like when you're out of Texas and you ask most people, like 10 out of 10, they've never known that Six Flags is all about the Six Flags over Texas. Can you name them? I want to know
That's a
without Googling it.
yeah, right. It's a good question. So it would be Spain, France, Mexico, the British flag. No, I don't know what are the other three?
Spain, France, Mexico.
Yeah.
The Republic of Texas.
Okay. Yeah.
The Confederacy. And the United States of America.
Yeah. That's why there's such a large part of it that's Texas.
Mm-hmm. Like the Wild Wild West, but yeah.
Touche, my friend. Touche. You're just, dude. When I was in Dahlonega, I said that while we were driving. Just these, Nick should write a book, and not in a negative way, like the useless knowledge that it's fucking amazing, but it's also like, how do you fill your brain with that? Like, how do you?
I don't know. I've tried to put that ability to just like the uncanny ability, just like I always like to learn, man. I'm just curious all the time, like I always just kind of take shit and go, oh, that's cool. But I've really tried to apply that, that I guess gift that I have towards my numbers. And actually one of the cool things my territory leader always tells me, he'll come in and like reports have updated, and dude, I'll get reports like every single day. Not only do I know my numbers, but every person in our territory, I know exactly where they're at.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll come in and ask me a question. I'm like, oh yeah, we're at like 1.27, and he'll pull it up and we're at like 1.27, and it's like, okay. I'm like, yeah, and your boy over there in this town, he's at 1.0 or this or that or whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, Donna, she's at this over here. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, man, you got to know your numbers. Like sales is a numbers game, right?
Yeah. And I like that you say that, because you also have to know your competitors, and you have to know what you're up against to be good in sales.
Totally.
I mean, totally. It kind of plays in with the product, but also with, we are in a competitive aspect. Or that's funny. I didn't even think about that. Hey, something you said earlier that I wanted to point out. So it's funny because you said you're outwardly a big optimist, right? I've always thought that I'm the same way. And Perry challenged me. I don't know. I think I remember telling you this. He challenged me. He goes, hey, one thing I see in you, he goes, you are an outward optimist, but do you think that has something to do with the inward pessimism in you? Do you think that, would you think that that'd be the same thing for you? Does that make sense? He said, like, are you saying it doesn't make sense, or you don't think that's you?
That's not me. Because I don't ever have we're not going to do this. I can't do this. Like when people tell me I can't do something, like that's what, like, game on. Like, please don't ever tell me you won't. Oh, here he is.
And that's
a beer.
That's what it was for me too. I'm not that person, but I think there was, when he said that to me, I remember sitting there thinking to myself, holy shit, in a sense he's right, because to tie it to something you said is that I also genuinely look for the good in people, but when at times I don't, and I think that gets to me, and it affects that I start doubting myself, and like, why am I questioning who I am? Does that make sense?
I think it does, totally. I think for me, when you work on board a cruise ship and you got 3,500 people looking at you, when you've got 1,000 guests off the ship, you're tendering in Belize, and the tender ride is about 40 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. And you got 1,000 people off. People's parties might be split. There's freaking excursions that they've got to get to at 8:30. And the weather turns, the wind's kicked up, and now it's unsafe to perform that operation, and we have to shut everything down. Now you have a room full of angry, not happy campers, and you've got to always be this beaming light of positivity, and no matter what, it's always going to be okay. Actually, the very first time I ever took over as cruise director, our ship caught on fire. Kid you not. It was a 5-day cruise. It was the last day. We were at sea coming through the Gulf of Mexico, just had left Cozumel, going back to Tampa on the Carnival Inspiration. And I'm doing the hairy chest competition upstairs on Lido deck. And all of a sudden, like, the ship just kind of, like, there's white noise, like, just kind of background. There's white noise everywhere you go, and you don't really realize it when you're on a ship like that in the middle of the ocean until like the white noise goes away, and you're kind of like, oh, that's weird. And I'm doing my competition thing, and all of a sudden, like, the ship's going slower and slower and slower, and all of a sudden we're in a dead stop, like we're just dead in the water. And I was about 4 months into this contract, and we never had just like, oh,
Stopped.
cool, we're coming. Yeah, we don't just stop, you know. Activity ends, get a phone call from the captain. Nick, they're Italian. Nick, come to the bridge. All right, captain, everything okay? Come to the bridge. So I get up to the bridge, and he's like, all right, man, so we got a situation. Freaking pipe bust in the engine room, spilled down on the generator, freaking caught fire. We had a fire, you know, propulsion's out on one engine, and I'm just sitting there like, literally just like freaking out, right? Like, okay, cool, right on. And I go, all right, I mean, like, is everything okay? Like, we're gonna be okay? And he goes, do you see me freaking out right now? And I was like, no, Captain. He goes, okay, then why should you?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not freaking out. Like, are we sinking? No. Then we're fine. Like, you know. And so that moment, I would say, has stuck with me. And it's important, you know, with the team, that I don't, because if I start to doubt or I start to think that we're not going to hit a goal, then it's really easy for them to be filled with that. So I don't know. I don't think I'm a, you know, overly optimistic person covering my pessimistic like tendencies. I'm just freaking game guy. Let's go party, y'all. You know, let's go have a good time. We're gonna make this happen one way or another. We're just gonna make it happen.
Yeah,
you know?
well, we have to, man. And I think it's funny you mentioned something that I think ties into this, because you're at a point in your business where you've had to, we talked about this with the E-Myth, where you've now had to pull back and be the puppeteer versus being in the trenches. And I think it's weird because I didn't start feeling the way that I, you know, some of the frustration that I did until in the past couple of weeks. But I think it's because I'm having to now really dig deep and get back into the trenches, because quite frankly, you know, we were given a lot of really good stuff during open enrollment. And so now it's like you mentioned earlier, but I think before we were recording, is that this is where the true grind starts after the 6 months, where we're going into that first year, going into that second year. I mean, when you talked about earlier, when you at year 2, you're like, why isn't this fucking working? You know, why am I not an agent yet? You know, and so it's funny because now I'm only really a fourth of the way there. And so this is, from what I've gathered in conversation with you, this is, and in my experience, this is quite normal, which is a good thing, right? Because that means I'm doing something right. I'm failing, but I'm also doing well.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally normal. I mean, you just come off of open enrollment. You know, that's like make it rain. You know, when I worked at Carnival, we had wave season, which we released when I was in sales with them for about 2 years on the phones. We released all the discounts, promos, you know, for the year in a normal world, not a 2020 world, but in a normal world, most families do all their planning, you know, the first couple months a year. They look at everyone's time off and like the school, you know, vacation schedules. And so like January, February, March, like basically the first 5 months, it's like wave, like you don't take time off, like you're there working 7 days a week, 10, 12, 14-hour days, just like your open enrollment.
Yep.
Right. It just happens that your open enrollment and starts at the end of the year. Your wave season is the end of the year, and ours, you know, historically was the beginning. I think every sales, you know, sales is all the same, dude. It really is. You can apply it to cars, health coverage, life insurance, mortgages, roofs. It's all the same DNA, you know.
100%.
And there's cycles, the roller coaster, you know, and you got to know that when you're up, and you're up, it's great. But like when you go up, guess what? All things go up. You got to come back down, you know, and then at the bottom, you know, it's okay. Because guess what? You know, I had an off month. It's not the end of the world.
No.
Hey, I'm coming off a freaking open enrollment. Yeah, it's probably going to not quite be as spectacular as open enrollment because not everyone's shopping right now. That's okay. But guess what? Catch your stride. Don't get in your head. and take that next, ride that next wave up. And it's the people, and we've talked about it, man. Emotional intelligence, emotional stability. Your highs can't be too high and your lows can't be too low.
Yep. Yep.
But you
Yep.
have to know. And again, shout out to Kathleen, because goodness gracious, she's a lot more than a bookkeeper, dude. I call him a bookkeeper, but she's so much more.
She's your
Business
life coach.
consultant, life coach. But she's the one that constantly reminds me, hey, buckle up. You're along for the ride, and it's a hell of a ride. And you're gonna have some highs and you're gonna have some lows. And just by the way that I think you and I are wired, you almost expect, like, I should be freaking killing it every freaking month.
I know. Yeah.
Or then you look around, dude, what fires me up is when we go to these meetings and I see these other people's names on the charts or on our front run, like on our who's doing what, the numbers every month. And then I go and meet these people and I'm like,
What the
oh,
fuck?
hell no. That motherfucker is not better than me. Hell no. Dude, I get so fired up and I'm like, that's who that is? Dude,
He looks so different than his LinkedIn picture.
Yeah, like, dude, like,
I was
he's got, like,
catfished.
yeah, he's got like some swanky name and he's like top of the leaderboard all the time. And then you meet him and he's got like, high waters on, looking like an IT guy, and
5'6.5" with really small hands,
pocket protector, and you're like, dude, there's no way.
Like, what are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh man, I've gotten pissed. I've gotten very moved in a couple of those instances, but you know what? It's part of it. And hey, there's always a carrot out there. You're always gonna be chasing someone.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. That's crazy. I was looking at that today. Like, we do our quick start bonus, and the guy that's in first place is literally 100% ahead of me. I'm like, how do you do that? What are you doing? Why are you literally doubling my number right now? If not, 120%. But like you said, there's always a carrot. We're always chasing something. I prefer to do business. You mentioned this before we got on here, that yes, you might put up a whole bunch of numbers, and while that's good and dandy, that's not for me, because it's not the long game. And we've talked about that time and time again. But quite honestly, this is the long game for us. I'd rather, I'll make good money regardless of it, but I'd rather do it with people that I know trust me and are going to pay their bills and come back and call me if they have questions, and not call the insurance company. And that's it.
So let's talk about your January. And you kind of touched on it, but so you came off of open enrollment. Obviously, you're just like freaking sky high, and you had to fall back to earth a little bit.
Yep. Yeah. So that the first week, actually, it's funny because the week after open enrollment, or like the week after Christmas, is like notoriously the slowest month of the year. I did really well that month. The next month, I did mediocre at best. I think it was like 18K in apps. And then the next week I came to Georgia and I did pretty well, actually. I think I put in somewhere in the neighborhood of 30, 35K while I was, hanging out with you. And then obviously on my way back. And then the next week, I've consistently been putting in 28 to 30K. So I'm not complaining, but I am getting things that are just going
wrong. That's
I know.
Strong.
It's just not where I need to be, But,
hey, can we talk about Georgia for a minute?
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, I had a blast, dude. It was so much fun. The food was delicious. Company was good.
I think it's good that you live in Dallas and I live in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Because holy crap, we've been doing a lot of hanging out.
Yeah, it was fun though, man. I had fun.
I had a great time. What's funny? I kind of like something like 3 or 4. This is the first time I've ever done this with you here. Like while you were here, I was like, well, I've never done this before. I've never done this. Never been to Hal's. Dude, how that
bro, that was everything about Hal's was awesome. Johnny's Hideaway, that was pretty awesome.
I just remember the name. How can you forget Johnny's Hideaway?
I'll never forget.
Oh my gosh.
Never forget.
That is the institution.
Yes.
That is wow.
Yes. Dude, it reminded me of so many things. And like they had Sinatra's room in the back, and it was just absolutely perfect.
The
was
chairs, the table, the
oh
everything,
yeah,
the ambiance.
the ladies' night that was
Right?
genius. That was genius.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, that was a hell of a business trip. Good call on Matt. She knew about Johnny's Highway. I had no clue.
Yeah, I
No
was
clue.
impressed. I was impressed. And then the night we went and had Mexican food, and you guys told the waitress it was my birthday, of course. That was fun. It was obviously not my birthday. They came out and the waitress was
It was
super
like a
cool.
month late.
Yeah, like 2 months late. But it was cool, man.
No, no, here's my ID. Look, it's not my birthday. She's like, nah, it was like 5 weeks ago. We're still good. Yeah, no, we're good. She was on board with it.
And you have a video of that, right? I hope so.
I think, well, I've got a couple videos.
Yeah. A couple of videos from that night, right? Yeah, it was fun.
Probably won't make it to YouTube. Probably won't.
It's probably a good thing for me.
You had like a 78 on your SSI on connected, so we're not gonna have to. You can't bring that down. Your brand was pretty high.
Yeah, that would be very detrimental. Anyways, so yeah, no, Georgia was a lot of fun, man. I think the driving up in the mountain and your sick ass truck, that was fun.
Oh, dude, the snow in the mountains.
That was really cool.
Yes.
I was impressed with that. That was really cool.
Yeah, we were just up there. It snowed again. What do you call donuts in the snow?
Snow nuts.
It's actually supposed to snow on Saturday or Sunday, but I think what we'll have to do is, and to everyone listening, Nick Overby booked an impromptu trip out here to Atlanta, and our plan was to film some content to get some. We've done this now for probably 3-4 months on Zoom, and we're not socially distancing. That's not why. It's because Nick's in Dallas, I'm in Atlanta, and so Nick came out here and went to Guitar Center at Best Buy, got like the whole podcast rig, get it set up. It takes us 3 days and a couple business meetings to get our minds right. Finally had to stoke this guy's adrenaline with some 55 plus mile an hour go-karts.
That was awesome.
And kids you not. And finally we're ready to go, and homie doesn't hit record on the mixer.
Nobody, but neither one of us realizes it either. So I'll take 85% of the blame.
I should have looked. But yeah, so we failed. I wouldn't call it a fail. I wouldn't. It was a great time.
Yeah,
had some great ideas. Dude, we met with one of your clients and had lunch, and you ended up writing the policy. Write that whole trip off. Amazing. Beautiful thing about being in business for yourself.
Yes, sir.
But I think in the next probably quarter, a trip out to Dallas, I think would be
stellar. That would be awesome. I would love that, dude. I would love that.
We do and we might even have to do. It won't be more. We'll have to obviously talk off camera about that, but maybe even like recording different angles and cameras and kind of get into some better production. I don't know. We'll see. But anyway, yeah. So all that to say, we had some big plans at the end of the year for 2021 season 2.
Yep.
Man, we were gonna do group texts. We were gonna do book clubs. We had all this shit lined up, and we wanted to drop it all on you. Nick freaking flew out to Atlanta to drop it on y'all,
and I fucked it up.
And then we because we're in this together, dude. We could just say Nick fucked it up, and they wouldn't know. I mean, and so Nick fucked it up, and didn't hit the record button.
Nick really screwed the pooch on this one.
Yeah, really screwed the pooch. And here we are. We're humans. It's been a hell of a month. You know, both of us, we have jobs outside of this. I think with our scheduling, with what we're trying to do, we've worked through some of those things. But y'all, we are back. I don't know about you, man, but I'm
back, baby. Back, baby. Sorry, I'm gonna yell at you.
Yeah.
Ah, God. No, man. Look, I am. And here's the thing. And I think we did fail forward. I look at it like we did something right. We learned a lot. I mean, it's cool to be where we are now. But yeah, to Nick's point, there are those things, while we did talk about them then, and we had all these, delusions of grandeur, or at least not delusions of grandeur, but we just, we were going sky high, and we didn't anticipate certain things. But those things I think are still going to be a big part of what we're doing throughout the season 2 of the podcast too. So I'm super stoked because there is going to be a lot of engagement. There's going to be a lot of cool things that we're doing, and it's just it's not going to happen as quickly as we talked about it because remember earlier, we got to be patient, man.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm thinking. But look, it is 10 o'clock here in Dallas, Texas. I still have some laundry and some things I got to go do. I got to cook some dinner too. I'm starving.
What are you cooking?
I don't know yet. Whatever's in the fridge.
I've been on, and I don't know that I could eat the same thing all the time, but dude, I've been on the biggest peanut butter and jelly kick for like the last 3 weeks.
Dude, strawberry. I've been jamming out the strawberry jam and toast with heavy butter every morning the past 2 weeks. I don't know why.
Strawberry jelly and like at least like a quarter, maybe 3/8 of like peanut. Like you need a foundation of peanut butter.
That sounds delicious.
Like when you bite through, like you go through peanut butter, like you bite through it. And yeah. So yeah, I actually need to make dinner, and my dinner tonight is going to be a peanut butter and jelly sandwich.
There you go. Yeah, I'll probably do something a little bit more elegant, maybe some chicken and a salad. But I'm trying to, one of the things, cleansing a little bit and trying to get my body back to shape and my mind back right, is been eating better. I've been pretty diligent and disciplined on that for at least the past 4 days. Yeah, 4 days. So I'm working on it one day at a time.
Food, but also gym.
See, that's the thing. I don't go to the gym. I need to go to the gym more. So
you were going there for a minute.
I was doing really well, and then all of a sudden I fell off. Fuck. And that's and look, I think a lot of it too, because I started working. I am making excuses, but working 16-hour days, 15-hour days during open enrollment, and now just trying to get back on the swing of things. So it's definitely
you have to, man.
I have it on my whiteboard.
I mean, in 2020, I took the gym off. I was doing CrossFit 4 days a week, and this is week 4 that I've been back, and
how do you feel?
Amazing, so much better. Like I'm sore all over. When I go in, I'm like dead last on the leaderboard, but you got to start somewhere. And all those people didn't take 10 months off. And I'm on my own race there. But when I first started, one of the trainers told me, she said, you stick with this thing and you will have such a clear mind. You'll be really just sharp, like fresh, like memory, like everything, just what it does for your body. And I think long term, there's a lot of people that will grind. Like you're a grinder, you're going to do whatever it takes to hit that goal. Like open enrollment, if you have to work 16-hour days to provide for your family, you're going to do that. I'm the same. I was raised that way. But you can only run that way for so long, and you will run yourself into the ground
completely.
If you can't go to work because you're sick or you're constantly just ailing and you're feeling like dragging ass and you're feeling behind, then you're not productive, right? No. And so you got to take care of your body, your health, and you take care of your mind, right? I mean, it's important for the long, dude, our first year when we start, our first year is brutal. It's absolutely brutal. Like you're comfort eating, you're like staying up all hours of the night. There were times where I just lay wide awake with my eyes, just like, how am I going to hit these goals, man? How am I going to hit these goals? And I'm responsible for team and all this stuff. And after the first year, I'm like, okay, if I want to make it to 40, right? I got high blood pressure. Like I'm probably borderline diabetic. I'm like, VIP status at Chick-fil-A, never a good thing, Like I'm VIP in all the wrong places. I'm like, this is wrong. Like,
dude, that's so true though. That's so true.
But yeah, and so I took stock and I'm like, dude, if I don't, this is great. But like, what's all this for? If I'm not healthy. I can't enjoy it,
dude. That's exactly where Friday afternoon I was like, fuck this is, and that's exactly where I was and what I've been taking stock in over since Thursday afternoon.
It's important, man. It really is
absolutely important.
We can preach hustle, we can preach grind, and you're up at 6 a.m. at the office at 7 and you're the last one out at like 10, and that's good, short bursts, but man, long term, that is a recipe for disaster.
What does the guy from Sublime say? He says, "Hard work good, hard work great, but first take care of head." It's true though. I mean, it is. It's good. But like you said, man, if we don't talk about mental health on here, which is probably something that's equally important.
I mean,
It
you
is.
know, yeah, you need, dude, sales is for lack of a better term, it can be a mind fuck.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I
Absolutely.
mean, it can really just, because you know you're good, you know you're good sales, you know you can talk, and you have an off month, and all of a sudden you just start telling yourself like, dude, what's wrong? I gotta do this or do that. Like, you just get in your head, and or you know, like your pitches, or you're not whatever's not happening, you're not hitting your numbers, and all of a sudden you just get in your own way, and
Mm-hmm.
you need to have those outlets and whatnot. But yeah, mental health is good. Like, I'd even like to. We'll talk about this after we finish, but a mental health segment. What are you doing for, what do you do to relax, or what are you doing to?
It's a good idea.
Yeah,
It's a great idea, Nicholas.
I think sourcing some, talking to our group and seeing what the group does, and some best practices around, sales fatigue and preventing that. We want to hear from y'all. Hopefully, our dedicated listeners and watchers in the group, Nick and Nick, the Insurance Dudes Facebook group, hopefully they've made it this far. We're rocking about 40 minutes right now.
Oh yeah. But no, I'm gonna post about it too. That's why I'm taking notes. So
post about it. But
tomorrow
if
we'll
anyone's
talk about
listening this far, because I know we have some new listeners.
Yes, we do.
We have some new folks that have joined, and hopefully they stuck with us as far. And if anyone out there has stuck with us as far, let us know this week what you do to combat your sales fatigue. What do you do for relax? What do you like to do for fun?
Sales
to get your mind. What do you do to get your mind right?
Right? Get your mind right, Craig.
Get your mind right. All right. Speaking of, I think I gotta go get my mind right. Get my peanut butter and jelly on.
Yeah, I'm gonna go get some food on too, man. We'll link up tomorrow and talk a little bit more and go from there.
Yeah, man. Sounds good. Hey, episode 1, season 2 is in the books.
Buddy.
2-1.
We made it this far.
Hey, we did it on 2-1-2-1.
Oh,
Boom.
shit.
Who saw that one coming?
Oh shit.
Who saw that one coming?
So yeah, 2021. That's crazy, man. I'm super blessed to be here though. That's awesome. That's fucking.
January was a hell of a year.
Yeah, I know, right? She's kicked me in my ass. I'm gonna reset. Yeah, it's time to reset. It's time to fucking reset.
About 4 to 6 weeks, we got warm weather.
God willing, we're so ready for it, dude.
Corner.
So ready for it, man. Yeah, it's actually getting a little bit warmer here. Like it's super cold in the morning, and then by the afternoon, it's 70 degrees.
Oh, dude, it's absolutely freezing here right now.
Oh,
like humans shouldn't be outside right now. It's so cold.
Well, go get some grub. Take care of your business, and we'll talk first thing in the morning.
All right, man. Sounds good.
Later, brother. Have a good one.
Later. All right, take it easy.
Yeah, you too, brother.